Hi everybody, welcome to lessonswithtroy.com. I'm Troy Brenningmeyer. Well, this lesson is going to be all about understanding rhythm and notation, and then later we're going to talk about how to use a metronome. So let's go ahead and jump right on in here. Okay, first of all, you're looking at a program that I use to make my tablature. It's called Guitar Pro 6. And it's a great program. I think it's one of the best out there, the easiest to use at least, to make really clear, easy to read tablature. Okay, well, let's start off first of all with what's called the tempo. And here in Guitar Pro 6, this is where your tempo is. This means quarter note equals 100. Now that's 100 beats per minute. And you can double click that and change that to whatever you want. Let's just go ahead and leave it on 100. And I've got the metronome. The metronome will be playing as I hit the space bar and play through each one of these measures. So let's just start off by talking about this area of our notation. Okay, first off, we have two main kind of areas. We have the tablature down here. That's going to be the 6 lines representing the your six strings of your instrument. Now this is dobro, tuned to a dobro tuning, and you see this here, GBD tuning. And then up here is just your standard notation. So for example, this line here represents your skinniest string, your thinnest string, your first string, your D string. So 0 means open, and right there, that's going to sound like the note D. Okay, so we're starting off, I'm going to teach you all about whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, all that stuff. If you already know this, you might want to fast forward, but if you want to learn a little bit more, maybe go ahead and listen. Okay, so a whole note means we're going to hit it once and it's going to ring out for 4 beats. Okay, now notice here, this is our time signature. We're going to be talking about that a little later, but your most common time signature in Western music is going to be 4/4 time. That's 4 beats per measure with each quarter note equaling 1 beat. So basically 4 quarter notes per measure. So if I hit my space bar, okay, notice how it hits right on 1 and then it rings out for 4 beats. Now if I change the view here, this is a view where we have the your standard notation and your tablature. If I change the view, let me show you what this would look like with just tablature, because it is a little bit different in my tablature. You might see it a little bit different. Okay, so a whole note, you're not going to have anything down here. Here's where your notation, your rhythmic notation is in tablature, at least in the tablature that I make using Guitar Pro 6. Notice half notes here. That's what it looks like. That would be 2 notes per measure, where each note gets 2 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As opposed to a whole note, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit it, there's only 1 note per measure there, as far as letting it ring out for the whole measure. Okay, so I might be switching back and forth just to show you what it would look like, the tablature versus tablature and notation. Because a lot of times in my lesson, I don't put the standard notation. I'll just put the tablature. Okay, so this is what a whole note looks like. This is what a whole rest looks like. It's a rectangle, black rectangle. Let me zoom in here. Okay, notice how it's hanging down from the line. Okay, or it's not on top of the line, whereas opposed to a half rest, it's actually sitting on the top part of the line. It's not hanging down below the line. Okay. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. Okay, so then we get into half notes. That's what I just played before. That's what that would sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hit it once, let it ring out for another beat. That would equal 2 beats. And as you notice with your accompanying tablature, if you bought the lesson, you get this printout. And I've got how to count it above, right? Okay, that's what a half rest looks like. Moving on. Quarter notes. Just like in the tempo here, we're going to have 4 quarter notes per measure. Okay, 4/4 time, 4 quarter notes per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If we slow that tempo down just a little bit, let's do 85. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, notice what the quarter rest looks like, kind of a weird symbol there. It's just the same as a quarter note, and just like all these rests, you're just resting for the time value of that note. So there's silence as opposed to sound. So like with a whole rest, you get 4 beats of a rest. Half rest, you get 2 beats of a rest. Quarter note, you get 1 beat per rest. Okay, moving on to eighth notes. Basically what we're doing here is we're chopping the value of each note in half. So a half note is half the value of a whole note. Quarter note is half the value of a half note, and so on. Eighth note is going to be half the value of a quarter note. And you count it because we're putting 2 notes per beat, we have to use the word and in there. So you count it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And notice how this looks like in the notation has a flag there. If we move to just the tablature, okay, notice how the notation looks in just tablature. It's down below and still has the flag with, this is called the stem. Okay, and these are just connected. Okay, so here's what this sounds like. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and what you want to do is as you're tapping the beat, you're tapping on the number, and as your foot comes off the ground, that comes off the ground on the ands. Okay, here's what eighth rests look like. Okay, it's, notice the flag there has a stem and then 1 flag. And as we keep going down in value, okay, let's not talk about triplets just yet. Let's move to 16th notes because a 16th note is basically half the value of an 8th note. Okay, you're cramming 4 notes in the span of 1 beat. Now notice how above here I have how to count that. It's going to sound silly, but I've learned to count it as 1 E and a. All even, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And your foot is tapping on the number. The number is your downbeat, your strong beat. So, okay, let's slow the tempo down so we can really hear that. So let's move the tempo, let's move it to 60 now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that would count as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now I'm just, it's not really what notes I'm playing here. It's more the rhythms that I'm teaching, but I'm just keeping them all your open first string on your dobro. Okay, but rhythmically, you might see in a lot of my tablature 16th notes and rolls and things like that. I'm using 16th note rhythms. Okay, here's what 16th note rests look like. Notice the 2 flags on the 1 stem versus 8th notes that have 1 flag as far as the rest, 8th rests, I mean. Okay, let's get into triplets now. What a triplet is it's 3 notes per beat, and you can count it as triplet, triplet, or you can count it as 1, 2, 3, and then changing this first number to dictate what beat you're on. For example, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Okay, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Turn that down. So 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Okay, and notice the grouping here. We have 3 8th notes. Okay, they're all connected with this flag. And then there's a bracket under it with a 3. That means a triplet. Okay, same thing with the rests. We have 3 rests with the symbol over the rests. Now let's see what this would look like just in tablature notation. Okay, notice how it's under the under the staff here, or your tablature, and it's the same thing. It's just 3 connected stems with 1 flag and the triplet bracket underneath it. Same thing there. Okay, moving on. Okay, now we get into time signatures, different time signatures other than just 4/4. Okay, 4/4 time signature means 4 quarter notes per measure. Okay, just like that. And each quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, cut time, that's a little bit more advanced. Let's skip that for just a second and move to 3/4 time. Very simple. Instead of having 4 beats per measure, you have 3 beats per measure. Now notice too here, because I wrote 4/4 starting here at the top, it carries on throughout my tablature. So you're not having to write the time signature at every measure, which I didn't even mention. These are called measures here from your bar lines, basically. Like this whole space is a measure, or a bar, they call it. Okay, 3/4, 3 beats per measure. Waltz time, it's counted 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, or you don't have to count it like it'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, like that. Okay, 5/4 time, that would be kind of an odd time signature. That's 5 beats per measure. Each quarter note gets 1 beat. So the way I think of time signatures a lot is the top number means how many beats per measure, and if you take off the top number and you put a 1 over it, that would mean that's like 1/4. That's the same as a quarter, right? So that means what type of note gets 1 beat. Okay, so if we go up to cut time, that feels like it's like the same as 4/4 time, but it feels doubled. For example, half notes feel like quarter notes, eighth notes feel like 16th notes, quarter notes feel like eighth notes. A little bit more tricky to that, but 2 beats per measure, each half note gets a beat. But when you think about it, that's also a lot like 4/4 time. It's more how it feels. It feels more like 2 beats per measure as opposed to 4 beats per measure. And a lot of times this rhythmic notation, when you get into it, it's more designating how something will feel to you once you start understanding this. Okay, 6/8 time, that's similar to 3/4 time. It's 6 eighth notes per measure. Now notice how these are designated. It's kind of like a 2 sets of triplets, right? But a lot of times the 6/8, 12/8 time signatures like that, you have a feeling of a triplet, like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, right? You have that triplet feel, but it's a lot easier to write out when you're in 6/8 time because you don't have to put that 3, the bracket for a triplet bracket, under each one. It's just designated, 3 eighth notes per beat, basically. And that's how you'll feel it. You'll feel on that downbeat, you're going to be feeling triplets, like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Okay, 12/8 time. It's the same kind of 6/8 time, except now we have 12 beats per measure. Each eighth note gets a beat, so 12 eighth notes per measure. Okay, a lot of Irish music and things like that have more time signatures. 6/8, 12/8 time. Okay, 7/8, that's an odd time signature. 7 beats per measure, 7 eighth notes per measure. So notice how we have a grouping of 3 and then a grouping of 4 there. Okay, you probably won't see that time signature that much. That's a pretty odd time signature. So just reviewing our time signatures. The most common one is 4/4 time. A lot of times you'll even see